Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shavano Mountain Raceway and the inaugural event of the all-electric vehicle, the EV Tournament. I am your host, Aaron Take.
Race fans, we're happy to have you here. This is Richard Gere, and we have 16 drivers that have come up to compete against one another to see who's going to be the champion of the electric vehicle tournament. This is going to be some exciting racing and a little bit different engine sounds. Instead, you're going to hear
vacuum cleaners.
Well, all right, Aaron. I guess it does sound like that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the time trials.
Wait a minute, Richard.
Oh, okay.
Before we do that, you've got to hear what happened in the pits.
Okay.
One of the drivers, Cousin Ricky, he got a big surprise as he found out what EV really stood for.
I bet he did.
You know, Cousin Ricky is always up to prove his superior driving skills, so when I heard the boys back at the shop talking about this EV Extreme Velocity Tournament, you know Cousin Ricky had to get involved. So I had the boys set me up an amazing sweet ride to bring down here to try out the Shavano Mountain Raceway.
Ricky, I don't think the EV stands for Extreme Velocity.
Hot down, time the big reveal of my car.
But Ricky, I think you should know that.
I said be quiet, don't ruin this moment for me. Alright, let's see it. What in the world? Oh my God, is that a Chevy Volt?
Oh God, Ricky, we tried to warn you. EV does not stand for Extreme Velocity. It stands for Electric Vehicle.
An electric vehicle? You mean I signed myself up for an electric tournament? Oh God, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Oh God, we can always count on you for a good laugh, Ricky.
Yeah, all right, race fans. I'm sure Ricky is going to have to figure things out. But let's get started here with Ross Rodden. He is our first competitor. Listen to that large vacuum sound as the electric car is making its way quite smoothly. And we've seen him do well. This is a 2021 Ford Mach-E. Mustang Mach-E, that is. And Ross Rodden comes to us from Rodden Racing, all the way in Australia. Good for him.
Ross's car seems to have a stock suspension and weighs 47.5 grams. Now going down the Scrambler, he has been very consistent. Coming through now, 27.213 is a very respectable time.
And the next one down the course will be Scotty from Neckel Racing in Luxembourg. And he has a modified suspension and a very interesting looking trolley car-like, I don't know what that is.
Well, Richard, that's his wireless connection to power.
Yeah, but he's an electric vehicle. He's already got power on board.
Well, he's got power on board, but he doesn't have enough, so he supplements power through the trolley-like antenna you see on top.
Oh, okay. Well, he's driving a Lotus Avia at 44.6 grams, and here he goes down the Scrambler. He's spinning it around. However, this second run was his fastest at 32.266. That suspension may be a little spongy. Now, race fans, this is Bay City Darrell out of California driving an I-Pace, a Jaguar I-Pace, and he's looking very fast so far. Now, we didn't mention before, but all 16 of these drivers are going to move on to head-to-head racing.
These time trials are here to establish the pole position and set up the groupings for the first race. This is the second run. As Bay City Darrell comes down, the first run was very close as well in the 26 range. That's a nice time of 26.513.
Hey, it's Cousin Ricky from Funkhauser Diecast Racing League. Now, this was his first run.
Oh God, I can't believe I even agreed to get into this car.
And you see he has...
Heck, is it even on? Ah, screw it, send it!
And we've mic'd him up just for fun. Good job, Ricky.
Woo!
Now, Ricky's driving a 51.4 gram Chevy Volt.
The exhaust of my vacuum cleaner is louder than this thing.
Yeah, I know, Ricky. Just keep that gas pedal down. And as you saw, the first time around, the first time down, this is where he had an accident. He does get spun around, but he's coming through well.
Well, at least I didn't spill my moonshine.
All right, well, Ricky's from North Carolina, and Sneaky Bob here with Vapor Racing. He, I believe, is from Minnesota.
No, Richard, he's from Michigan.
Oh, sorry about that, Sneaky Bob. Well, he's looking good in his purple-colored Remick Navara. Never even heard of the car, but it is looking quite fast. 53.4 grams.
Now, Sneaky Bob got a time in the 27s on the second attempt. This was his first attempt, and you can see him coming down really well and gets a 26.513. I think we already had one of those. Now, looking here, after the first 5, yes, it's Sneaky Bob and Bay City Darrell tied for the lead in our pole position.
The next one down the track is Sean from Midwest Diecast. Now, this was his second attempt, and he had a very unfortunate tip over right there. That ended his run, so we're now watching the first attempt. Sean is from Kansas. And that would make sense with Midwest Diecast as he's driving an I-Pace, the Jaguar Trophy. Now he's coming in at 53.7 grams. And he has some trouble on the runway.
Yeah, that's going to cost him some precious time. Now he's making his way around the Big U and gaining some more speed and onto the Scrambler. He's holding it well. I believe that's a stock suspension, and he comes through with a 28.5 second run.
Despite not having his best run or best time, I get the feeling that Sean's going to be quite competitive during the head-to-head racing. Now here we have Strike from England. Strike is driving a blue Tesla Model Y at 50 grams from the Essex boys. Looking a little slower, I wonder if the crew has to take a better look at the car. Yeah, there's just not the speed we're used to seeing. But he is coming down and driving a pretty straight line and around the Big U.
Yeah, a lot of the racers that come here, I know that the crews are thinking they've got to have some sort of techno-wizardry to get down the Scrambler. Now here, Strike makes it in 30.8 seconds, but what we're seeing most of all is that cars that do well have just a little bit of give in that suspension, the axles, and are fast and have a low CG.
And here we have Snowy Shift, originally from South Africa and now lives in England. Snowy Shift is our youngest competitor. I think he's 12 or 13.
So he shaves twice a day.
No, he doesn't shave, but he does drive a car, and he's driving well. He's driving that Tesla Model Y. It's just under 50 grams. He is spinning around, though, but does come through, and his fastest time was a 27.638. Next up, we have Puff. Puff from Puff's Racing. Now, he comes to us from Massachusetts. He is driving that Lucid Air. A&W sponsored Lucid. Yeah, A&W.
Oh, yeah, Rupert Float.
That's right, Aaron. Now he's weighing in right over 55 grams. Look at how fast he's looking, nice straight. Puff has been very competitive lately in lots of different races. And again, this car has stock suspension, screaming along. Look at that, come through. 25.9, and I believe his first run was just over 26 seconds. Well done.
Now here we have Janabi from Janabi Racing. Remember, he's from Colorado, but on the first run, he had an unfortunate tip over, slid all the way down the Scrambler, just not able to finish. Now Janabi has a beautiful tricked out Ford Mustang Mach-E 1400. He weighs in about 50.7 grams, just under 51. Look at that beautiful, beautiful execution around the switchbacks. And now onto the runway, he's got spun around backwards. That's going to slow him up. We like how he's taking control and heading down backwards and through. He's going to post a time of 28.199.
So after the next 5 drivers have made their way down, Puff holds the pole position with a 25.906, and Scotty's down there at the bottom. But we still have 6 drivers remaining. Let's watch the action. Here from Indiana Diecast is Sam, SAM. Now on his first attempt, he rolled it over right over the creek jump. Indiana Diecast. Sam is apparently an acronym for slightly above mediocre.
Okay.
Well, come on, Sam. We're rooting for you.
It describes my entire life.
Well, okay. Aaron, we could go way off course with jokes about that. But let's stay focused on the car racing down the mountain, which is a 2020 Honda E. Ooh, egad, that was just about off the rails, but past the runway and around the Big U he goes. Sam is plowing down. Oh no, he tips over, and that's going to be the end of it.
DNF still gets him in, but he'll be at the bottom of the pole.
Matthew Devers from NDR is next. Now we have to show you in slow motion. He took quite a funny bunny hop over the creek jump. Let's watch here as run number 2 is about to get started. Matthew is driving a 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E. Oh dear, and about the same thing happened. I think that's suspension, or it could be a clearance issue. We're gonna have to take a closer look. Hopefully the crew can get it fixed. All right, next up we have from Essex boys, it's the Duracell Bunny.
Not the
Driving
Energizer Bunny?
Yeah, Aaron. Duracell Bunny, not the Energizer Bunny, it's the Duracell Bunny driving that Bison. Look at that thing go. It is really cruising along, powered by Duracell.
That is a Baja Bison T5, just under 55 grams. Look at how straight it is going down the runway. It is making very good time around the Big U now. The Scrambler, you gotta see, look at the way it's handling it, and the Duracell Bunny came through with a 26-second time, and this time a 25.205.
Next up, we have Johnny Smoke with SST Diecast, Small Talk Shop. Johnny's from South Carolina, and he's driving a Jaguar I-Pace with a funny-looking tail on the back, and he's got a modified suspension. Now, that tail, I guess, is how he powers that electric vehicle, and that modified suspension, good idea, but it seems to slow him up a little bit as it's a bit spongy. We can see him bouncing.
And he's just under 55 grams, although the first time down he got a 32. See, the suspension kicks in and he goes smooth, but a little slower. Okay, 31.194. Johnny Smoke is on the board.
Now, next up, from the state of Washington, Ned Munson with TTC Diecast, that's Tiny Track Cars, and a funny face of Elon Musk on the roof. I love it. You're looking at a Porsche Taycan Turbo S, powering up 52 grams, down the runway, looking good.
This is his second run, and the faster of the two times. Flipping it over and coming through backwards, 26.328.
This is the last of our 16, Maple A. Brody from Spirit of 64 Racing. Now, Maple A. Brody comes to us from Colorado. He got a DNF on the second run. This is the first one. Maple is driving Ford Mustang Mach E 1400 and looking quite fast.
Maple A. Brody's car weighs in at 44.8 grams. It's light, but it is really moving, screeching along and around the Big U. Nicely done. Look how smooth it is over the Scrambler.
Wow, and that time, 25.345. That's with a pretty much a stock suspension, just a little bit of play in those axles. So let's take a look here at the 16. This is how they'll pair up as the Duracell Bunny has the lead, followed by Maple A. Brody. They're going to take on Sam and Matthew Devers, and that will be the first of 4 group races. You've been watching the inaugural EV tournament on Gravity Throttle Racing.
Are you tracking?